Weigh-In is brought to you by our stable of sponsors.
Hello and a very warm welcome to Weigh-In. Great to have your company on the show this morning. We're going to be reviewing all of Saturday's racing from New Zealand and also across the ditch for some further New Zealand success in the Jericho Cup. That's to come here on Weigh-In this morning. And Michael, also Ellerslie, we've got an update there as well later, haven't we?
It's going to be a live update. Good morning to Em. Welcome back. Big hi to everybody around Australasia. Yes, Ellerslie this morning having their first official jump outs. Horses at speed on the new strap there. So I'm going to be here for the first part. Then you're going to talk to your good mate Shaune Ritchie about winning a very unusual and a very historic race now it's becoming, the Jericho out of Warrnambool. And by the other side of the show, I'm going to be at Ellerslie and we're going to find out how that track is holding up. So that's live on Weigh-In here this morning. Ellerslie's first competitive jump out. Looking forward to seeing how it holds up and getting what the jockeys think, Emily. That's the all-important part.
Yeah, really looking forward to that. Right, let's get into our first race replay, and it is, of course, the Eagle Technology Stakes, and it was taken out by Al Vencedor.
Bound now, 3:50 to go. Clever Rudge the leader. Al Vencedor the first to challenge. Coming after them out wider on the track next as they head down the straight. We've got Prix de Feu for the back apostrophe at the 200. It's Al Vencedor in front. Coming after it now we've got where the challenge is Zayla, but Al Vencedor's off and gone here. Shut the gate. Al Vencedor's going to race away. The battle will be for the minors. Second over, Prix de Feu, I reckon, just from Mully Ston.
It was a pretty dominant win, wasn't it? A nice effort by Al Vencedor. We welcome in Stephen Marsh to the phone. And Stephen, congratulations. It was a pretty big weekend for the team and a very well-deserved win by Al Vencedor.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that. It certainly was. It was an overdue big win for him, and it was nice to see him finally sort of put his hand up and deliver. It was good.
That was something you mentioned, wasn't it? That he has sort of always had the ability, but he's done a few things wrong. Tell us about that and how you've ironed out those problems.
Yeah, he's just been one of those horses that, he's always showed really good speed, but he just sort of hasn't really known how to harness it much. But he's just tried to go just a little bit hard. We've sort of changed gear around. He now races in ear-muffs and changed his work around, sort of working him over a bit further, a bit slower, and just trying to get him to come back to us. And, just sort of the way the races have panned out this time, 1400, then up to 15. We've just been able to slowly step him up time by time, and he just slowly got better and better. And really, Saturday was the day that, I guess if he didn't put his hand up there, we were starting to worry of which sort of directions we take with him. But no, it was nice.
And what do you do from here? Because obviously that's a confidence-giving win that'll set him up nicely heading forward. So what's the plan from here on in?
Yeah, we'll head to Pukekohe on January 1, New Year's Day, the Ritual Mile. And then that might lead into a Thorndon Mile. The space, it's a nice month in between runs here, and then I think it's 3 weeks to the Thorndon. So they'll be his next two outings, and yeah, starting to get serious now.
Morning, Marshy. Well done with him, because I'm sure he's taken a bit of training to get to this level. Obviously, he's bred to get further. He's the foal to Chicante, and of course his half-brother Sky Darcy won the Hong Kong Derby. So after what you saw there, and with a bit more mental maturity, is there a chance he could turn up at 2,000?
Oh, I think for sure. Actually, just said to the owners on Saturday that I think the way he's improved this time. I mean, it was starting to look if he is ever going to get over past 1,200 at one stage, but up to the mile, the way he's racing, I think we could definitely see him in a nice 2,000 metre race. Either the end of this preparation, but we'll definitely stretch him out and have a crack at it at some stage.
Mate, the team's flying. Obviously, there's been success pretty much almost every weekend for the last 6 or 8 weeks. But as we head to Wanganui for the O'Leary brothers fillies race down there, this is one horse, Glamour Tycoon, who you seem to have got it right, because you had the options to go to the 1,000 guineas, which maybe she would have won. But I think going to Ruakaka and giving her that easy kill has made her a happy and confident little filly.
Absolutely. Like we looked at Rickerton, but just didn't think it was the right time for her. She's one of those fillies would sort of always run her against good company. She hadn't had everything go her way, and that was the big thing about Ruakaka. We wanted to basically go and see what we did that day, and I reckon it was just really, she bounced out of it so well, and she sort of lifted a cog, and I do think it was a big confidence boost for her. And I think the O'Leary Stakes was just a nice sort of going from the 1,200 up to the 1,340. And it was nice to see her really put them away like she did. I was probably a bit worried down the back straight. I thought we were a little way off them, but loved the way turn of foot and the way she just delivered. It was fantastic.
All right, that raises the question, Stephen, can she extend out to 1,600? Because if she can't, there's a lot less options after Christmas than there are if she is a miler.
Oh, absolutely. Is she a miler? That's the thing. Her next start will definitely have a chance of getting the mile. We're not going to give her another trip away to a eulogy or anything. We'll wait. We'll stick up here. Boxing Day, she can run in the 8 carat. So, yeah, we're certainly, we believe she'll get a mile. And the way she ran out the 13.40 and was strong through the line, she certainly should be able to. But you're right. If she doesn't, it limits the options a fair bit more. But if she does get the mile, we've got quite a few nice races to look at.
We've heard about a couple of nice horses in the stable. That was also a 2-year-old we saw recently, and that was, of course, Velocious. How has this horse come through the run? And talk us through the program that you might take to head towards a Karaka Million.
Yeah, no, she looks very exciting. Amazing turn of foot. Would have as good a temperament as any 2-year-old we'd have, to be honest. She just takes it all in her stride. She's just enjoying a little late days in the paddock. She returns into the stables tomorrow afternoon. She's a pretty athletic sort of a filly, so she'll have one more run into the Karaka Million. She'll run in the Eclipse Stakes on the 1st of January, and then straight into the Karaka Million.
I know it's difficult to compare horses this early on, but is there sort of shades of rude awakening about Velocious for yourself, Stephen?
To be totally honest, not really. Rude Awakening was that real sort of like a small, compact, real pocket rocket. This filly's sort of got a little bit more length, and you know, if you look at her, if you have a good look at her, you'd always say she looks like a horse that's going to be a better 3-year-old. I think there's probably a lot more scope to this filly, different racing patterns, but as long as they can both do the same on Karaka Million night, well, they've got the same colours anyway. That's one comparison, but yeah, no, that's about it.
Well, that shows plenty of upside, doesn't it, for the future if just doing it on raw ability at the moment. Stephen, best of luck with those runners heading forward, and thanks for coming on the show this morning.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yeah,
it's an unusual one, Ian, because being by Shocking, obviously, who won the Melbourne Cup, you wouldn't think that El Vencedor would be a natural sprinter. And I sort of had forgotten how well bred he is on the dam side.
Yeah.
She's one of the wonderful mares of the last decade or so. You would think maybe he'll get to 2,000 metres. Raises a really interesting question around a Thorndon Mile, because if Stephen thinks he'll get to 2,000, well, the Thorndon Mile is the first qualifying leg of the new summer bonus for NZTR. And if he can extend out to 2,000, that gives you the Herbie Dyke and the Bone Crusher. Just an update on good horses before we go any further. Spoke to Ken Kelso last night about Legato. Things are good. She is back working. Ken said that she is definitely being aimed at the Karaka Aotearoa Classic, the Elsdon Park one, rather than the Westbury. So that's where she's being aimed at. Interesting update, he said, we may race at the first Ellerslie meeting back on the 14th. There's an open 1400 that day, so he may race there. It's just an option or a trial. Into that, then he wants to step up to 2,000 for the Herbie Dyke, which again, Emily, puts Legato, potentially, if all this percolates with the system the way Ken wants it to be an option to qualify by racing at the Elsdon Park Aotearoa Classic, and then to race in the Herbie Dyke, which would suggest she would probably race in the Bone Crusher. Yeah. So she may be chasing that bonus as well. That's definitely in Ken's thought process. Just going back to that TRB Classic market, which is this Saturday. It's the former Captain Cook. Agon's on top there. Clearly El Vencedor won't be turning up in that race, but Agon around the $4 mark for the next of the Group 1s, Emily. And once we get into those, there's pretty much major black type every weekend for 12 weeks.
Snowballs, doesn't it?
and it's going to be a very diverse amount of black type, because we've got lots of different form lines. I spoke a lot of time on the phone yesterday talking to trainers, and there's a whole bunch of horses coming back, like Agon, like Dragon Leap, who's been away for a while, who are going to rejoin the form lines we're seeing at the moment. So, yeah, I think we're in for a really interesting summer.
We sure are. Well, let's move on to some of the other replays that we're highlighting today. And the first of those is the Wanganui Cup. We have a look at Kellyco taking this out.
Pinion out wide in the middle, Colorado Star. Calico's with these as they gallop on down. Semper Magico, Colorado Star. Calico over on the outside trying to close off on them. And then Kingfisher Lad when he rose the inside. Semper Magico, Calico for the O'Learys though. Calico ranged up. Calico wins the cup from Semper Magico. Colorado Stars then over Mazzolino.
It was a good win by Calico, who's been racing pretty well and got the conditions to suit, obviously, with the pace on, set up nicely for Calico. But it was also a pretty special win for another reason, because obviously Wanganui was celebrating their 175th anniversary, so the oldest racing club in New Zealand. And of course, Calico races in the colours of Humphrey and Fiona O'Leary, a surname that's been so synonymous with racing in the region.
And really successful colours recently too. Obviously they've been part of the region for a long time, but of course ladies man races in these colours. A lot of good horses have raced in these colours, and they sponsored the race immediately before. Just on Calico, I spoke to Ashley Meadows. He's only got the 12 horses in work. So for somebody who seems to have a really good strike rate and has run second in a couple of recent New Zealand Cups, doesn't have as many horses in work as maybe you would think. And he said to me, look, I'm not sure whether I can extend this horse to 22 or even 24. Now, obviously at 24 or 2 miles, there's so many more options because so many of the big races coming up in are 2400 or 20 or 3200, like Auckland Cups, Queen Elizabeth Cups, all those sort of things. Got the feeling Ashley's thinking, nah, we're not going to quite attempt that because this horse doesn't have an enormous amount of experience at 2000. So wouldn't be surprised, being by Prasia, who had another huge weekend, if Ashley sticks in that 2000 but has the option to even drop back to 1600s with Calico.
Good stuff. Well, let's get along to our next replay, and that's, of course, the Eagle Memorial. This was taken out by promising Justice Sharp.
The inside, out in the centre, Grail Seeker's quickly ranged up and taken the lead. 2 lengths away, about time. Justice Sharp to the outside. Further back, Balance of Power, Sterling Express and Dojita. It's Grail Seeker. Leroy's hugging the rail on the inside, and now here's Justice Sharp coming after them. It's still in front here. Grail Seeker, Justice Sharp for Bailey Rogerson, ranged up, took the lead, and will get the win at the line to the delight of the jockey. Justice Sharp has won it. Photos for second between Grail Seeker or the fast finishing About Time.
Well, as we heard in the call, Bailey Rogerson absolutely thrilled to get her first stakes win. And Justice Sharp, plenty of chat after the race about Derby prospects for a horse like this. And of course, Graham Rogerson, well, we've seen what he was able to do with Sharp and Smart, and maybe he's mounted another one.
Well, first things first, I was really thrilled for Bailey. You know, she's a very popular person in the jockey community, and she rides all sorts of things for Grandad. Sometimes they're really good horses, and sometimes other bits and bobs pieces. So she has to earn, you know, she rides a lot of horses who wouldn't be under 20 to 1. This horse is not one of those. It's a good horse. It's only been beaten once, and it was by Crecchetti up at Ruakaka, so that's proper form. There's a lot of talk about the Derby, but it's by Swiss Ace. I mean, I'm not sure I think it's a Derby horse. I suppose Graham's pulled off other miracles before, but you don't have to be a Derby horse to be competitive in a whole bunch of races coming up, whether they're Levin Classic type races or whatever. So clearly a very smart horse. Connections are very successful people. Craig Leishman's owned a lot of good horses. Merv Butterworth's owned a lot of good horses with his wife Meg. So they've got a winning recipe here. Interesting to see where they end up and how far that all extends. Second horse was really good. I think maybe hit the lead a little bit too early, Grail Seeker. It'll head to Boxing Day to take on stablemate Molly Bloom in the 8 carat, which Marshy just said Glamour Tycoon's going to, so it's going to be a really good race. And the third horse is actually a half to young Werther, who just ran third in the Champion Stakes a few weeks ago, and it's got black type 3 or 4 starts into its career for Cambridge Stud. So we were talking recently about Cambridge Stud getting these black type horses coming into the broodmare band. There's like 17 of them have joined in the last 3 or 4 years. Well, another one just turned up on Saturday. So job done for about time, but has a stack of breeding behind it. And I think a half is heading to the Karaka Sales coming up on the 28th of January. Emily, that catalogue's coming out this week. Had a look at it last night. There's a lot of horses and a lot of really well-bred horses in that catalogue, so look out for that in the mail.
Yeah, we certainly will. Well, let's move along to the Open Handicap, and we had a good 3-year-old turned 4-year-old who resumed in fine style. That was Whiteack.
Rish is next. Further back is Orange Pearl from Pure Encanto and Peach Train. 300 metres to go. It's Kiva Han, the leader. White Tack, the favourite, being called upon. 2 lengths away. Rish is looking to warm up out wide. And behind them, Pure Encanto, Dawn Parade. It's White Tack at the 100 metres. He's starting to bound away now, White Tack. Rish races into second, but he's too good. Fresh up, White Tack. White Tack is back. Second over Rish. Third at the line was Kiva.
I guess, Michael, you could say that the writing was on the wall because the trial had been good in preparation for this resuming run. I get the impression that the Scott O'Sullivan team, they really sort of played their cards well to be able to place this horse in a race he could be effective fresh.
Well, they wanted to put him at 1300 so the tempo would be on, because I think last season he often got his head in the air and mucked around and was a bit of a dork. And not many good horses race with their head in the air. Northerly did, but White Tack's not Northerly. I think he's a pretty good horse. I think he's going to make a really good miler. Last season it took Prowess to beat him in the Auckland Guineas and Desert Lightning to beat him in the Avondale Guineas, which is great form. Then he ran 5th in the Derby. So he's clearly a good horse. I think he's going to end up in a serious mile. There was a bit of talk on track post-race about the Thorndon, but they won't be heading there. They'll go to the Elsdon Park Aotearoa Classic again. And when I spoke to Lance O'Sullivan last night, he said, look, maybe we can't beat Legato, but it's huge money. Let's go there via potentially the Rich Hill on, sorry, my apologies, the Stella Artois Championship final, Stella Artois Championship final on Boxing Day. And then into this race, where, as you see, he adds to, when you look at that first 6 or 8, it's a potential hell of a contest.
And I guess when we were heading into the 3-year-old classic last year, we thought Legato couldn't be beaten and Prowess showed up. So you never know, do you? You've got to be in to win. And
well, it's $1 million to it. It's $1 million an hour up the road from home, or 2 hours up the road from home if you live in Matamata. So of those horses there, the one horse I think may not turn up is Skew With. I think they might keep her to the 1400 for the Westbury if in fact she comes back for that at all. But the rest of those horses, of the trainers I've spoken to, I haven't asked Graham Rogerson about Sharp and Smart, but the rest of them want to head to that race. So if we have half that page turn up on the Elsdon Park Aotearoa Classic, it'll be a hell of a first running. Legato 550 to 480, as mentioned earlier. Ken absolutely confirming that is the plan race.
The boosted odds there available at tab.co.nz. Let's move along to the 2-year-old contest. It's a key time of year when it comes to 2-year-olds, and Marikatu was successful for the Tiakau team.
Montana Bay coming after Sister Ping. Marikatu being called upon along the very inside. 2 lengths away, Windrush out deeper, followed then by Grove Street. At the 200 metres, Montana Bay tackled now by Marikatu. A length and a half off them, there's Sister Ping. Marikatu, Montana Bay won't go away. It's Marikatu being popped the question short of the line. The favourite will deliver. Marikatu won it second over a very game Montana Bay. Sister Ping was third, Windrush fourth, then followed by Grove Street.
Tiakau and 2-year-olds, it's sort of a thing that goes together, and you can see Marikatu getting home nicely. Struggling to get a line on the 2-year-olds this season. I know it's quite early still,
Me too.
And there's sort of we've got to wait till after Christmas, but just, yeah, I'm struggling to marry them all up. How did you assess this one?
It didn't really explode through, did it? And already, listening to Warren's post-race comments, you get the feeling it might well be a 1400 horse. It might well be a size produce horse. That may still be good enough to win a Karaka Million. But I'm like you, I think usually by the stage of the season you're expecting the tangerine colours to have 3 or 4 or 5 really big chunky chances. And maybe they have. I mean, maybe Marikatu and Bellatrix Star and About Last Night are all really good horses. But on what I've seen so far, and everybody's seen the same stuff, Velocious just stands out enormously. So it's one of those things, when you look at this market, you go, well, she probably should win. But then you go, but Tiakau win it every year. So how do you marry that up in your mind? I do think we're going to see Boxing Day and New Year's Day, a lot of moving parts.
And that meeting at nobody's seen Ellerslie as well, which is going to be a key thing too.
Well, Velocious has been there. Funny enough, she went there last week, 2 weeks ago for a spin around. But yeah, it's a really confusing Karaka Million. If Tiakau can pull this off and make it 8 in a row, it's going to be a hell of a thing. I know you might be hoping they do, because there's a good chance some of you might be
We've got to
riding one
pick
of them.
the right one, though. There's more than one.
That's true, but I get the feeling, and again, I'm not by any means decrying their depth. I just think there's enough other horses bouncing around that it's a far more even feeling Karaka Million for me. Is that how you see it?
That's how I see it. A 2024 problem. That's what I'm leaving it. Let's worry about that in 2024. Hopefully it all makes a little more sense then. It's a tricky looking race as it stands. Well, we were treated to stakes racing during last week, and that was in the form of the Wellington Stakes. And there was a very, very impressive winner indeed.
Outside Can She, Zab Mansour coming around them, quickly looking to join in, and Geriatrics is looking to thread the needle. Zab Mansour went quickly in, hit the front. 200 metres to go, a couple of lengths. Charmer runs on. Geriatrics getting through underneath of Can She, but look at him go here. And Zab Mansour by 4 and 5, a brilliant winner. Zab Mansour by 5 at the 9. Charmer, Shanti Lace, Geriatrics, Antrim Coast hung tough. Then Can She, Rule of Law, sleight of hand, and up the end.
Well, we were just talking about explosive power. This horse most definitely has that. Zab Mansour, of course, for Roger James and Robert Wellwood. Incredibly explosive. Maybe not the strongest of field, but it was the way this horse did it that was so impressive.
Yeah, I agree with you on the field. It'll be interesting to see how it stacks up. I think Geriatrics might be a pretty good horse, but I guess we'll find out in time. Interesting horse because instantly you start thinking, because it's a homebred, so the Levin Classic makes sense for it because it can't go to the Karaka Million 3-year-old. So that would seem, because this is going to be a really tricky race, the Levin Classic. Some of these horses aren't going to turn up here. And I would suggest Molly Bloom, the second favourite, is very obviously one who won't turn up.
And horses that maybe are considering a derby, but they don't stay or come back to a race like this.
Well, obviously it's earlier this year, because usually we're back to March, now it's in the middle of January. So you probably can't start in this and start in the Karaka 3-year-old for 1.5 million. So Lupo Solitario and Molly Bloom are at this stage both going to be aimed at the Karaka Million, so they're not going to be going to this, one would think, because nobody wants to go roading to Trentham back up. The question for Zab Mansour, of course, is will it get a derby trip? Well, it's by El Mansour, and most of them get derby trips. Very obviously, he had place getters in the ATC Derby and the Victoria Derby winner last season. Roger James is very good at training derby winners, now in association with Robert Wellwood. He looks the derby favourite to me. A lot of room between now and the derby, but he just looks a derby horse all over. Just on that call, a great Tony Leeism, just that Tony Lee, the way he does his calling, it adds that so much to the races. We heard on Friday that Tony is going to be leaving his role. His contract has not been extended. Had a good talk to Tony about it. He's 66 now. He realised at some stage he was going to have to retire. He said he has other options which he expects from whether it's overseas or somewhere else. He was settled about it. I don't think he wants to leave, but I think he's also aware of the fact that a lot of people don't always get to choose when they leave. Justin Evans will get the Central District's commentator's role. Justin's come an awfully long way in 5 years. Everybody likes him. He does a really professional job over a wide range of things. And there'll be lots of people who go, I don't want Tony Lee to leave. But there will also be lots of people who should realise that Justin's a really good fit for that role heading back to his own region. So we're not going to pretend it didn't happen. And yes, for Tony, it would be an affront initially. But the more I spoke to him about it on Friday, the more he was accepting of what's going to happen next. And I hope somebody somewhere snaps him up, because I know there's still plenty of good race calls left in Tony Lee. Regardless, there'll be lots more time to talk about that before his last day of calling on Wellington Cup Day, January 20th.
Also, just while we're on the topic of news, you might have seen on our desk today the Racing Annual. This is now available, 2023, 50th edition. Aidan Rodley is the man behind him for that. So make sure you
we had this happen last year, and
you
opened the page and it fell on your husband. See if you can do it again.
Okay, here we go. How did I go?
No,
Ryan Elliott this year.
Ryan Elliott.
Penny Wecker.
Is there something we need to know?
Wonderful mare. He's on the front. I got away with it.
So Aidan Rodley, if you can Google it, New Zealand Racing Annual, and Aidan can get it to you in time for Christmas. It is fantastic. It's a hell of an achievement to write a book.
Great one for the coffee table.
I'm way too lazy to do that, so well done to you, Aidan. And yep, it's he's got them out and posted out to people already. So good on him.
Yeah, good on him. All right. Well, last week, if you watched the show, you were treated to an intro that excelled all previous intros that have ever been seen on Weigh In.
Previously on Weigh-In.
No Emily Bosson today. It's actually the Franklin County Fair is on today, and Emily's entered the bacon butty making competition. Good luck to Em and to everybody involved. It's one of her big days of the year.
Do they not need a guest eater? I could have gone out there and...
You can pop him back on the way out. It's some great photos online too. Em's got her own personal page for those who are interested. You said the website later on. Live? Oh no, what? Another week of getting my head cut off. The great part about this is, obviously it was completely made up and I enjoyed making it up. But my sister texts me every week after the show and says, good show, or I liked your tie, or Aunt Em's kid's lovely. And I said, do you reckon anybody believe that bacon buddy nonsense?
Michael.
And my sister texts me and goes, oh, is that not true? So she believed it.
Quite a few messages as well, so I just got in the spirit. And look, I did really well at the Franklin County Fair, the Bacon Buddy
It should
contest.
be a real thing.
This is something I created earlier. Now you can see the beautiful home-kill bacon, crisp to perfection with the egg oozing out the side and the white, soft, fluffy bread.
How are you so skinny? How does it? You have worms. There's something wrong with you.
And my winning.
Your trophy.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know
Can you
what?
see a 1 there on the tin
It's
foil?
actually
there it is.
It's very disappointing for Franklin County. They don't have a fair, and we should organise something.
I'm going to do one thing.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't have a Franklin County Fair. I'm going to make a bacon butty.
Please do.
And I'm going to bring it in, and you can try it.
Okay, just for
right?
Because when I go to the South Island, I get all these people who come up to me and say, "Are you Michael Guerin from Trackside?" And I say yes, and they go,
don't
you know,
make
they always
up
ask,
stories on the
"Stop
show."
talking, I'm in charge."
Oh.
And
Okay.
and you know what they say? You know what they say? People say this to me in pubs in the South Island all the time. What's Emily Bosson like? And I'm like, she eats a lot of bacon buddies. But people, the most common question I get when I go to the Cup Week in Christchurch is, what is Emily Bosson like? And I'm like, I just don't care. She's married to a mate of mine, but she eats a lot of bacon buddies. But yes, if you can bring bacon buddies for us later in the season.
I'll bring you.
But my sister actually thought you were making. How many
people.
text messages did you get? Did you get a couple?
Yes, a few.
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, my work here is done. I'm so proud of myself.
No, you just wait. What do if you are on
thought it was
Twitter,
true too.
Revenge is a dish best served cold. So
So
stay tuned
so
for
bacon
riveting
buttons.
weigh-in, because we've got something in store for Michael.
Oh,
it's
good.
coming in the coming weeks. All right, more of less bacon buddies, more racing. Let's get to a replay of Sheaf from Wanganui, the first of the day, and some pretty famous colours.
Well, these are the main brace colours as we get to... so I was talking to Kevin Myers about this. So Bob Nolan raced main brace, and Michael Wallace is his grandson, or great-grandson. And here are those colours back at Wanganui. Some of the most famous colours, of course. Main brace won 23 of 25.
Sheaf is starting to close off on the Zarabella the inside, but he is Sheaf. Sheaf will win. Sheaf will get up and score first of the day.
Today's weigh-in is brought to you by our stable of sponsors.
Further out, tapping going now. My World is starting to slingshot them late with 150 to go. My World is swamping them out of the centre of the track. My World took the lead and My World all win. From Moonshine Maggie, further back bowler. Real Rose looking to wind up from the back. Zarbeutius at the 200 metres, clearing the lead from Moonshine Maggie. Real Rose bowler, but it's Zarbeutius in front. Kylie Williams eyeing up 900, and she'll get it here on the first to Cromwell. Bring on the 1,000.
Still there, Karuba Jack, out wide a Liquid Fire, and down the outside RJ's Flight. They're right across the track at the 250. Liquid Fire made the lead here from on the inside of it. Blue Sky at night, then RJ's Flight further back. Armino, it's Liquid Fire, and Kelly Myers. Kelly on her first day back for riding as she gets a win in the last.
Well, congratulations to all of the people who achieved milestones over the weekend. Hopefully you celebrated those and may have many successes on into the future. Well, as you heard at the start of the show, Michael has departed for the second half of weigh-in. He is at Ellerslie. He's made it safely. Michael, we'll link in with you. The jump outs, they have been run, and you've got some info for us from some key people at the track today.
Yeah, hi again, Em, and we're back at Ellerslie, two places on one show, and it's pretty cool. The rain stopped. There was a lot of rain here yesterday, so we've had a couple of jump outs. They're not at absolute full speed, but they're close enough, and Jason Fulford is, of course, the track manager here at Ellerslie. And Jace, talk us through what we're seeing, because it's a nice, lush grass. Are you happy with how it's handling this morning?
Yeah, absolutely. They're just chipping off the grass. That's all they're doing. They're not really breaking into it, which is what we expect, right? It's holding very well.
Can we go down and have a look at some of this? So the horse is obviously galloping about 8 metres off the rail. So obviously they're getting into it a bit, but there's no obvious chip away here. The dirt's not rising anywhere. They're just flattening the grass.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's exactly how it was for our gallops, the first and second lot that we've had. They're just breaking into it. I've spoken to a couple of riders, and they're saying that what is to be expected is it's a firm footing, and I think that's what can be expected all year round from now on. You did say we had a fair bit of rain yesterday. No, we only had 8 mils, and so I was even considering, gee, do I or don't I put some more water on just to make sure it's got that little bit of give? But of course, irrigation isn't going to provide us as much give as what we think it will.
Okay, with this track now, and it does feel relatively firmish, are you going to start to need more water and using more water on this track heading forward compared with the old Ellerslie?
Well, for a change, the water irrigation is actually going to be my friend for a change. It's not going to be saying do you or don't you for the safety reasons. It's going to be saying we want to provide a lot more give. Irrigation's not going to do that. It's going to make the track hold together. It is organic matter that will grow in this track that will provide the give. And we know we're a couple of years away from that yet.
Okay. Can we race on this Karaka Million night? I know the 14th of January is our kick-off, but that's the one everybody cares about, it's the 27th.
We're going around it today to prove that we can, yes.
Well, that's Jason Fulford. We're going to go over here and talk to Warren Kennedy because he's leading the premiership. As you can go through here, there's no rutting. The track's not coming up underneath at all, so there's no digging up in holes. It's just flattening the grass with the hooves on the way through. Warren will know a lot more than me because he's ridden significantly more winners than I. Good morning to you, Woz. How are you?
Morning, Matt. How you doing?
What do you prefer? Do you prefer Wizard of Woz or Prince of Pukekohe? Because you seem to have two nicknames at the moment.
Look, I'm going to have to lean towards Wizard of Woz because Daniel's got me by the short and curlies.
Okay.
We're more matish, you know.
Wizard of Woz it is.
Yeah.
What about the track here at Ellerslie? You hadn't been here till a couple of weeks ago. It feels to a layperson relatively firm underneath, and it doesn't seem to be coming up and cutting up too much.
No, it's not. You know, yeah. To the layperson, you're right. You hear them going down. You hear it seems pretty firm, but there's nice cushioning in it. It's pretty deceiving. You've got a nice bit of cushioning. They're getting their toe in quite nicely. Track's really nice. I really enjoy it. I really honestly think it's just about ready to race, ready to go on it.
Okay, one of the most important parts of any racetrack is the bend. The horses obviously have to lean a bit more into a bend, and there's more ability for things to go wrong. How confident are you on the surface of the bends at Ellerslie?
No, really confident. Yeah, I'm really happy with the surface. Look, unfortunately today we're not galloping on that fence. They've got cones up and we're galloping around them, but it looks to be a nice gradual turn. Brings us nicely into the straight. Looks like they're going to fan out a bit because there's a slight downhill turn in the straight. So when they do pick up speed, they're going to fan out. So everyone's going to really get a chance.
Okay, this track's still growing out. You said to me before, obviously the grass is going to get longer, which eventually sort of makes it thicker. So that's the next stage for you?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's all they need is a bit more growth here. It is running a little quick at the moment because of the shortness of the grass. Once it lengthens up, it'll even things out and yeah, make it a little bit more fair. You know, horses that can come from off them. Make it a bit tougher to get through the track at the moment. They're gliding off the top. I did say like they're getting their toe in because we've had a bit of moisture around and the track's really doing well. But a little bit more grass growth and that'll be really good for the track.
Okay, we asked Jason Fulford, the track manager here, how confident he was they would race here in January from on top of a horse. How confident are you?
Oh, really confident. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. When I did gallops here a couple of weeks ago, I was just about ready to go. Just a little bit of grass growth, and we're ready to go for sure.
What you need to do now is get into the jockeys room and find the Wizard of Woz spot, because everybody has their own spots in the jockeys room, so you'll need to find a good one.
Yeah, I'm going to have to find a good one. I don't even know where the jockey room is yet.
It's over there. We could go do this later on if you want.
Good to know. Yeah, now I'll have a look around, and that I'm just more interested in to get to know this track with the hills and the gradients that are around, and I feel I've got a good hang on it at the moment. So yeah, we've got horses coming, but
we better get off the track. There's horses coming, Warren. Hey, back to you, Em. There's another jump out behind us. Things are going well. Jason's confident. Warren's confident, and I believe you're shortly going to talk to a successful Kiwi in Shaune Ritchie.
Thanks, Michael. Yeah, that's the plan, and really good feedback there from the track. Great to get that live from Warren Kennedy and, of course, Jason Fulford. Michael spoke about there being jump outs run already, and we've got some vision of those to bring you here on Weigh In this morning. Lovely head cam shot. This is Sam Weatherly aboard this horse for Davina Waddell, and this is obviously the back straight where they jump out. They had have a good go, and here they are obviously coming up the straight. You can see the new rails and the place looking really smart there at Ellerslie. So it's all systems go. It's looking great, and based on the feedback that we've had this morning, very positive. There's the walk back in as you head back towards the grandstand, and of course the parade ring, the front parade ring. So all things positive when it comes to the Ellerslie track. Loving the vision and stuff that we've got from across there at Ellerslie, and great that Michael could get there and get that live, and hopefully he'll be back with us shortly with some more info when it comes to Ellerslie track, and really excited to hear that we might be able to get there for the Karaka Million. Sounds very positive at this stage. Well, as Michael alluded to, we had a New Zealand success across the Tasman on the weekend, and that was, of course, Nassac Diamond winning the Jericho Cup.
Turn the mare, she dashed away 4 lengths in front. Havisham, Sunday Buzz, then Willie Wink, Mr. Fabulous down the outside, followed by Morton's Fork. 200 to go. Nassac Diamonds in one race, the rest are in another. The Jericho Cup's going home to New Zealand. Nassac Diamond in a big hit and run mission is going to take out the Hames Paints Jericho Cup in a canter. Second, maybe Sunday Buzz, a nose to Mr. Fabulous.
Well, we heard through the call that Nassac Diamond was in one race and the rest of the field were in another. That no doubt made it a very easy watch for Shaune Ritchie. Shaune, a very warm welcome to you. As I said, a comfortable watch, no doubt, watching Nassac Diamond cruise home to the win in the Jericho Cup.
Yeah, it was a great thrill. You know, she landed over there terrific, and she was quite dominant at the end. And you're quite right; they didn't have to wipe any sweat off the brow for the last half mile, probably.
What was the build-up like? How well fancied was she in the race, and what were your sort of thoughts heading into a race like that?
Well, we knew we had a spot on. We attempted to get her there last year, and she ran third in the qualifying race, which she needed to win to pay away. And it was probably the best thing that happened because she wasn't quite strong enough last year. So we went back, of course, this year. She qualified very well at Taranaki. She was just super impressive down there. We felt maybe we wanted a shower rain or two just to make her a better chance, but as it turned out, she skin was good, her coat was fantastic, and we presented in what we felt was terrific order, and she's done the job for us. But what a wonderful concept the whole race is.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. It is a wonderful concept, isn't it? And it's something so different at the end of that spring carnival. Tell us about the experience there at Warrnambool.
Well, the whole town gets behind it. It's a unique town, Warrnambool. They love their racing. Your dad accompanied me with Rick Williams on the trip here, and geez, I reckon they put a statue of Dad up. They kept saying, "There's Bone Crusher's trainer," and so he was adored, and of course, winning the race was fantastic. I mean, she opened up at 26 to 1. I think they might have just got it a little bit wrong, and she's ended up paying $9. A little bit of the scratching from the favourite, of course, close to the time, but the race itself is really taken a role, and it's building with momentum, and it's going to be extremely hard to win in the future for sure. But the whole Anzac spirit, and you have to experience it to be there. They play the New Zealand and the Australian national anthem, and then of course you've got the last post where not a word is spoken and nobody moves, and it's great respect for the diggers, and of course that whole era of war.
The other thing I just wanted to talk to you about, Shaune, was when you sort of put this race on the radar, because with a horse like Nassac Diamond, why not target a New Zealand Cups race? Why the Jericho Cup with her?
Well, to be honest, because she's probably a little bit slow, Emily. It's a $300,000 race, and they tell me it's the longest flat race in the world, which is probably believable. And, of course, it goes up the hill, and you've got to have that horse with the ultimate stamina. And she travels strongly and runs through the line in all of her races. And probably her best performance was the 2 mile on a heavy track at Taranaki, which suggests that she would get that 3 miles. And that's what you really need. And, of course, with the European invaders not being allowed to run to the Anzac expert and only being Australian New Zealand bred horses, it brings that local flavour to things as well. And the other great part is of course, the high weight and hurdle riders get their chance at that great prize money too.
And you had Campbell Rawler, of course, as your rider, and he spoke out very dearly, saying thank you for the ride and the experience. He comes from a great lineage of riders. It must have been great to have his services.
What a fantastic guy! Like he rode the horse superb, which means I like him even more. But he's very, very humble and just a nice guy. I think his mum drove 10 hours to come and see, and at the end of the day, we were still double figure odds, you know. So she's by no means a good thing. So it just come off really nicely for everybody, and I'm pleased to have met him. He's a hell of a nice bloke.
And you mentioned having your dad and family on track. That must have been really special and certainly something that will go into the memory book for the family.
Well, that's right. You know, I often say, my proudest moment on a racetrack was as a strapper standing beside Dad when Bone Crush won that famous Cox Plate. But to have Dad there when you're winning any race is always nice. And he's still got a few horses in work, and he's really enjoying it. And he got a big buzz out of the whole thing. And it was nice to have someone here to support me.
Sean, what's next for Nassac Diamond? Where do you go from here?
Well, I'll talk to Rick Williams, of course, from the Oak Starter, and he'll in turn talk to Dick. But I just don't see a lot for her on the horizon back in New Zealand. She's a 2 mile plus mare. She'll probably be rated quite highly after winning that sort of prize money. So she may well be better placed here in Melbourne through the autumn and the winter when you've got a little bit of moisture in the tracks over those 2 mile plus distances, which they have quite a few of. So I'd say that'd be the right way to go with her.
Well, Sean, I'm sure the celebration last night was a good one after success in the Jericho Cup, and well done to you and the team.
Thanks very much, Emily. It certainly was.
Oh, great stuff to hear from Sean, and of course co-trainer Colin Murray, a big well done to him as well. Right, let's get back to Michael Guerin on track at Ellerslie. And Michael, you're joined by Kelly Myers, who of course enjoyed success once again on Saturday.
Wasn't it great to see Kelly back at the track at Tarapa? You look quite chuffed about winning on your comeback day with Liquid Fire. That must have been a nice buzz.
Yeah, it absolutely was. It definitely was. I hadn't forgotten how good it feels to win a race, and yeah, it was good.
Okay, you've been away from racing for a while. You've had a couple of little kiddies. Congratulations. Are you back as a full-time jockey?
I'm sort of playing it a little bit by ear. I sort of am just feeling my way, really. I mean, if I get offered anything good to ride, I'm going to go and ride it. So we'll just see how we go.
What was it like being back in the jockey's room and then heading out, jumping on a horse on race day again? Because I presume it's pretty addictive.
Yeah, well, exactly. It is addictive, and that's why you keep coming back to it, even though I didn't think that I would. But it actually felt just like normal. Like, it didn't feel like I'd been away that long. It's always good to get your first one back under your belt, and he was a lovely ride. He was a grouse first ride back, and then I was just back into it like I hadn't left, I felt.
Well, you're back at Ellerslie too. How does it feel underfoot to you? Because it looks great, but of course we're not charged with riding them.
It's really exciting. The track feels great. They've purposely left the grass a little bit short today, and when they get that little bit more growth on it, it'll just be perfect.
Okay, Kelly, there's going to be trainers out there going, hey, this is good, experienced senior jockey, 650 wins. How do I get you on for a Wednesday? So do you start riding Wednesdays, or are you a Saturday rider at the moment? Just for those who want to know, because senior jockeys are hard to find.
As I said before, I mean, if it's worth going for, I'll go and ride it. So
it's nice to have you back.
Thanks very much.
It's Kelly Myers back in the winner's circle at Tarapa. First day back on Saturday. It was a cool story. Now a mum of 2 little ones. Ellerslie, as you can hear, lots of really positive feedback on the track. A lot of jockeys saying the grass is quite that will grow out. But I tell you what, considering the rain it felt like we had yesterday, Emily, feels superb. Another jump out about to go. We had to get off the track before when we were talking to Warren because the horses were coming past. After this break here on Way and In, we're going to talk to Paul Wilcox and find out whether this Karaka Million is a thing here in January, and more importantly, how can our viewers come along?
Oh, good stuff, Michael. We'll look forward to that after the break. And as we head off there, we take a look back at the Cromwell Cup.
12 gone. Vay giving chase. Burgee runs up behind them. Wider out of the track. Wind to my wings. Capo del Impero slicing through. Further out we've got John El Rocco starting to run on, but it's Vay who hit the lead. Capo del Impero is starting to sprint up with Burgee and John El Rocco the last little bit. Capo del Impero hit the lead. Capo del Impero wins the cup.
Today's weigh-in is brought to you by our stable of sponsors.
Special edition, special edition, baby. Come get it, baby. Come get it, baby. Come on now. I know you really want it. You want it.
Some wonderful drone shots of Ellerslie this morning. Great to hear that the jump outs are going ahead successfully at Ellerslie today. Michael Guerin is on track and bringing us the latest info. Michael, back to you.
Yeah, things are looking really good. Obviously, these are only jump outs, so it's not absolute full speed, but you get a pretty good feel for it. And the grass is being flattened, of course, because big animals are jumping on it. But yep, there's no damage to the track. It seems very smooth. Craig Baker is the racing manager here. This is one of his babies. And Craig, it must be good to be back. How are you feeling about the experience so far?
Yeah, it's great. Thanks, Mick. We've had a great support from the trainers and the jockeys to come up here on a Monday morning and test the track for us. And yeah, we're really happy with how it's going.
Okay, next Monday we get serious with actual proper official trials, but you've had to restrict those because otherwise everybody would want to come. And what you've said is Auckland-based horses who've raced at Pookie a fair bit, you can come along and have a spin. So talk us through that.
Yeah, it's actually not just Auckland, it's the Waikato and Auckland region, but it's based on starter numbers from last season at Pukekohe, and I understand that's going to favour the bigger trainers more, but there's no area that's going to please everybody. So yeah, so we're just working through the numbers now. Understand that there's a lot of demand to gallop for us, and but yeah, there's no fair way to do it. But yeah.
Once we get through next week, if the return to racing protocols are basically signed off, what other opportunities will there be for trainers to bring horses to Ellerslie and have a spin around? Because I think most people want to be here for the 27th if they've got a horse good enough, but I know plenty will want to have a look first.
Yeah, absolutely. Very cognizant of the fact we've been out for nearly 2 years, so there's a lot of horses that have never even seen Ellerslie before. So before the 14th of January, we have a set of gallops on the Monday before for horses that are racing on that day, and then we'll do the same thing for Karaka Million on the Monday before Karaka Million. So it'll give horses plenty of opportunity to see Ellerslie.
I was talking to Ken Kelso last night. He said Legato might come here for the 14th, potentially for an open 1400, maximum top weight 60. That would seem an ideal race for those type of horses to have a look, but also to get a run under their belt before the big TRB KMs night.
Yeah, we're very mindful of a lead-up race before the big $1 million Elston Park 4-year-old race. So that maximum top weight 60 kgs just gives those horses like Legato an opportunity to start. Otherwise, you'd get pretty hammered in the weights. So.
You excited?
Very, very excited, Mick.
I think lots of people are. Let's talk to your boss. Yeah, we'll go. How are you, brother? Feels good. Feels good to be here. It's nice and warm. Lots of horses. Jockeys are happy. You must be happy.
Yeah, just about went to sleep watching that little discussion with Craig. It was so long. I was
cognizant. No one's even said cognizant on WAM before.
Cognizant, yeah. It's a word that can trip up a lot of people, Michael.
Let's talk about what people want to know, because we've heard from the jocks, we've heard from the racing manager. How confident are you after today? I keep asking you every time I see you. Will be KM-ing here on January 27th, because people at home want to come along and they want to book some tickets.
Look, that's been our goal all along. We've still got those protocol ticks from NZTR and the RIB to get signed off, for want of a better word, but that's our focus, that's what we're aiming for, and look, we'll let people know when the ticket's available, but at this stage...
Do you have a date when this is going to happen, just so you know?
No, but Laura's looking at me across Ben's shoulder. So, no, look, we haven't made that decision yet. But as soon as we do, we'll let the public know. And, yeah, we've got a long waiting list at this stage.
Well, that is the thing, obviously. Are people already registering to get tables in a cuvee or on the Champagne lawn for January 27th? Because, Paul, I feel like everybody in New Zealand racing's waiting for this big thing to start.
Much like we are. It's been a long couple of years, but yep, look, we've got the waiting list there, but all I can say is hold your horses, and we'll make that announcement when we can, when we get that sign off, and we've got the RIB and NZTR here, and hopefully it's not too far away.
Blake Shin is coming to Boxing Day at Pukekohe. He's coming to the Karaka Million. I get the feeling he won't be the only Australian jockey on the plane. Do you have any more for us?
At this stage, we're working with a few other jockeys from Australia. Blake is the first one that's coming, but we've got some other really good ones in the background that we're in talks with at the minute. So, and that just adds colour to the evening, which is what it's all about.
Kind of weird being in Ellerslie and hearing horses go past again. It must have been times in the last 2 years you thought, God, this is never going to happen.
Yep. Much like today with the rain. But look, and it's such a good sound. It's obviously a deeper resonating sound, which just adds another spice to the whole mix of things. But yeah, there was days sitting up in the stands where it wasn't rain that was running down out of my eyes. But look, we're getting closer, and that's all we can ask for. But at the same time, if she's not ready, we're not going to push it.
I'd add me to the waiting list for a table on January 27th.
You'll be working, Michael, so...
I've got other mates.
yeah. Unfortunately for you not, but no, look, we look forward to getting as many people as we can here on Karaka Million night.
Good on you, mate.
Thank you.
Paul Wilcox thinking good at Ellerslie, Emily. So, yeah, thanks to the TRB, by the way. They gave us a little live thing. We can do this live this morning to keep you updated for the TRB Karaka Millions, and great for Ben to come along. Everybody's been really good through this whole process, Em, of giving us all the information we need. But if I was a betting man, which I might be, I'll be stunned if we're not back here for January 14th. Before then, of course, some massive meetings coming up at Pukekohe. So, Em, that's us signing off from our dual place weigh-in this morning from Ellerslie here after the first official jump outs back, and things, Emily, feeling really positive.
Yeah, they certainly sound positive, Michael, and great stuff. Great work. I'm glad you didn't get a speeding ticket heading over to Ellerslie this morning. A big thank you to everyone involved at Ellerslie for being available to chat to us this morning, and it's been great to have your company on the show. We'll be back next week to review racing and give you all the news that you need right here on Weigh In.